Good afternoon and welcome to the next in the series of Successful Introvert Workshops. My name is Brian Johnson, the host, and it's really great to be here this afternoon on a beautiful, cold, crisp March lunchtime here out in East London. And I really enjoy doing these sessions and really seeing what difference it is to share my thoughts and experience in 30 odd years of working predominantly in financial services. And over the last really few years, I've been a bit of a transformational journey, realizing what I really enjoyed most was helping mentor and coach other members of staff rather than what I was doing. And so I've retrained as a coach and NLP practitioner, and now using those skills to really help introverts like myself move forward. I mean, I used to really struggle with understanding who I am and what I should be doing in a world that's run by extroverts, and trying to behave in ways that didn't really fit with me and just drain my energy. And the usual advice of just do it, or it didn't really work for me. And it wasn't until I found a wise coach and mentor that I really started to change the direction of my life. So now each week, I'm sharing these sessions and practical tips and ideas on different things you can really take away straight away. I believe every one of us is really on a journey, and we can choose to move towards where we want to be from where we are now. You feel free to comment in the chat or contact me afterwards. I'm always happy to hear from you. As quite a reflective person, I love doing these sessions as I continue to learn something every time I do them. And today we're really talking about something that I still find myself I need to work on, and that is succeeding as interviews. Today, as we start thinking about interviews from an introvert's perspective, there's really three areas I'm briefly going to talk about. It's preparing for interviews, what you do beforehand, the basic strategies to deal with those common questions, and some straightforward techniques for starting to handle the stress and anxiety. These are very broad subjects, and people who work with me tend to go in a lot more depth in each of these. Today we're just giving you a very broad overview of some really practical things you can do. It's normal to have that sense of nervousness and your mind telling you what's going on, because feeling nervous and anxious is really your mind telling you you're moving out of your comfort zone into a world of uncertainty. The important thing I've discovered is we can use that energy to help us succeed. That we'll start with looking at the preparing for interviews. Preparing for interviews is more than just researching the company, and that's really the given. If you're going to interview, you'll be researching them on the internet and reading their website. And it's taking that beyond that and understanding why we are nervous and anxious, for example. What brings that on? It's the unknown. So doing a bit of research on the people interviewing, going on somewhere like LinkedIn is a great place to find out a bit about the history of the people you are talking to. And I mean, that can be really helpful to bring some connections, because that preparation on actually this person, how long have they worked for the company? Have they been there 20 years? Have they worked there a year? Have you ever worked for the same employer in the background? Do you have any common associates you've worked with before? I've worked, I've previously, I've done research in people and found actually they grew up in the area around where I went to university. And doing that research has built that common ground we could discuss. So it's a really weird conversation to have, but it builds that rapport. Just doing that research, knowing the people would be important. Summarising what the company does is very key in the preparation. Can you summarise in a few words, actually, this company does this, it's a market leader in this, it's what attracts them to work for them? What is it that actually sets this company aside from their competitors? Depends what field you're working in, I like that advertising campaign you run. I like your products. I use your products. It's relating. So actually, people want to hear that flattery works. Well, people know you're flattering them, but they like it. So thinking about that can be really powerful. But relating to them, as I mentioned, well, yeah, I think knowing that both, I went to university in Hill, knowing that he grew up in Stoke, gave us an instant connection, and we could talk about years, things we remembered. And that research really helped. Being able to tell your story in 30 seconds or less. And that's really thinking about the company. What does it do? What attracts me to it? What's my connection to the people? Do I understand them? Just knowing a bit about them, just go, oh, ease, okay. That really helps us thinking about the next step. And there's always the practical. What are you nervous about? I hate being late, so sometimes I've done a practice run to where the interview is. Walked up to the front door and go, okay, this is where the building is. This is where I'm going. Okay, I know how long it took me to get here. I know where it is. I know the challenges. So, sometimes you might want to go, well, what is the dress code? You need to ask the question. What is it that excites you about the interview? What is it that excites you about this job? Why are you going for this interview? Why are you investing your time? Getting that big clarity around why you're there. I'm doing this because I want a job and this is going to make this difference to me. That excitement can be really good. So, I do some more work with Waterford's money coaching, and I love being one of the money coaches alongside doing other coaching, because I understand that ethos about wanting to transform lives and helping people understand their money and just feel more excited and in control of where their money is going. So what they work hard for works hard for them. That's ultimately, that excites me, and that's really part of what we're doing here. But as we move on from that approach, thinking about strategies for common questions. Simple works best. You're going into an environment where you're feeling nervous, unsure. It wants to be simple. So this is really about doing research on the questions, jotting down the points. So often an opening question is like, tell me about yourself. It's not a trick question. The usual reason for asking that question is to get you to open up, to talk about yourself, make you feel comfortable. Other questions like, why do you want this job? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Your biggest failure, success so far? Talk us through your work history. Questions around the key skills for the jobs. Right, having a story to tell. Your aim in asking any of these questions is to get them to know, like, and trust you. It's a personal story. But think about what you want to get across. So tell me about yourself. It's often the first question. Think about, what am I most proud of? What would I want the world? What have I done? And how does that relate to what I'm going for? What led you to your career choice? I grew up in Norwich, where the biggest employer was Norwich Union, now Aviva, and how did they end up working in pensions? So it's a bit of a joke. They offer you a job as a junior administrator, and day one they tell you where you're going to work. Go left for pensions, go right for general insurance. You have no choice over whether you go left or right. But that random allocation pension for me has led to a career in pensions, and here I am today. That really tells a story. And that's thinking, actually, that's the start of the story. So I found that pension's really interesting. I want to learn more. So I studied. I wanted to achieve more, so I studied more. I left to go to university, and I came back. Pensions, I did professional pension exam, financial planning exams. And I ended up as a fellow of the Pension Management Institute, and have continued to get professional qualifications around coaching, personal development, because I'm all about constant learning, constant building and learning my skills. And that is my story. As applying for a job, I'll be relating to what the strength of the company is. This is what you are about. This is what I want to do. It's what I'm proud of. Just thinking about a story. Can you give your story in 30 seconds? Sometimes you want to give a 5-minute monologue. Put yourself on the other side. It's not about having a long monologue to tell. The purpose of the story is to have a conversation. So you dip into the highlights. They went to university. The question, where did you go to university? What did you study? It allows them to ask follow-up questions. I haven't given them all the information. Unless you want the interview for over 5 minutes, you don't want to give that monologue of everything you possibly know. You want them to know in one sentence. You allow them to ask questions to extract find out what interests them. It's a simple, basic overview. Again, when you're thinking about what's not gone well, did that project at work, and you just overlooked a massive data problem, and it came back to bite us at the end, and it really threw everything off track. But we then had to work together to work out a solution and renegotiate timescales with the project. Saying, we all know things go wrong. What do you do when things go wrong? Do you throw your hands up and say, "Oh, it's all gone wrong, panic"? Or do you go, "It's all gone wrong. Okay, let's find a solution. Let's work through what works for every side." And it's not a trick question to ask you, what the failures. It's about wanting to know how you resolve the failures going forward. So the key thing here is to write down all the key questions. Tell me about yourself. What do you want in your job? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Etc. And just think about the answers. And just being honest. So also realizing what the firm is like. So if everyone at the firm, most people at the firm have stayed there 10 years plus, you're not going to say in 5 years' time, I'm probably going to move on to different companies. So 5 years' time, I would like to move to the next step up in the career in this company. I'd like to, see what opportunities there are to develop my skills within the employer. It's directing those questions based on the research. It's building out, it's really writing down key stories from your life and relating them to the answers. Think clear on how you tell these stories. 5, 10 different stories, right? Areas of your life. Yeah, I can talk to you about that. Practicing telling them. It's a simple approach. Practice. Said it 10 times. Can you do it again? I've worked with people, we've had a list of sort of top 20 questions, general questions and specific questions. And we've really worked through the answers and getting them comfortable doing a personal story. I think there's a story, not a list of facts. And it's about the practice going, actually, I can say that. That's really good. And having someone to listen, go, what's that engaging? Ask the question. And this really links into, as we start to move through dealing with stress and anxiety. It's all important things we do feel and we do face as we go through As we go through life, it's thinking about what are we feeling. It's a normal response to feel stress and anxiety. If you're saying you've got an interview coming up, you think they're feeling stressed and anxious, firstly, looking at your language, saying, moving it beyond I am stressed and anxious. I am feeling stressed and anxious. Once you see stress and anxiety as something we feel and not as something we are, we can find a way to feel differently. Just say that to, saying that to yourself a few times. I am anxious and stressed. I feel anxious and stressed. Notice the difference. And as you sit there feeling anxious and stressed about an interview, start jotting down what it is that makes you feel anxious, what it is that makes you feel stressed. Writing down 10, 20 points, fantastic. And taking the time out just to go, what is making me so? Then it's really going through that list and going, what of those are in my control? What have I got any control over? Those you have some control over, it's thinking about what can you do about them? I'm stressed about answering the questions. Preparing your answers in advance. Anxious what they'll think of me. Again, how can you control about that? I don't know what to say is practice. As you can't control. Can you control how someone will respond to you? A little. It's that curiosity, actually, what can I control? Control the way I look, how I'm smiling at people, how I'm engaging with them. Okay, this is how I'm feeling about this. Okay. Feeling stressed and anxious. Okay. And when you're sitting in that state going, well, how do I want to feel about this? What do I want to feel? Relaxed, confident, engaged, enthused. Each of our own words, they all mean something slightly different to us. So it's really thinking about how we describe that, just thinking about it. So when I go into interview, I want to feel confident, engaged, relaxed, happy. And actually, it's just reflecting and thinking, actually, when have I felt that? When have I had those feelings? Bring those feelings, reimagine that situation where you felt totally in control, confident, relaxed, happy. Just bring that memory back into form. You can see the image, intensify the colours of that image and the sounds. What sounds do you hear? What do you see in front of you? What are you feeling inside? Success. Sitting in that quiet space just to get in touch with those feelings is really important. Something I often do before running through these sessions is think about how do I want to feel at the end of these sessions, and it can really help give me the energy for these sessions, because it's easy when you're working alone at home just to get into a quiet, dull mood. I'm just going on. But for these things, I need energy, and just think, oh yeah, this is the energy I want to bring. This is the energy I'm going to have during this. Just get in touch with that, and it really makes a huge difference. And notice how you feel. And practicing recalling these things is really helpful. So you can sit, and when you're going to interview, you can go, I don't want to feel. Relax, shoulders back. Be ready to move. Free your arms to move. I mean, I look on here and top shoulder picture of me. You don't see what my hands are doing. It's quite funny. That's how that works. And just feeling that success, bringing up those positive feelings. You've got those positive feelings. This is how I'm going to success. Okay. What do I need to do to ensure that happens? How do I need to arrive at the venue? I don't need to engage with the people who meet me initially, walking to the interview room. We're going to talk about smiling and making eye contact. A nice firm handshake. The successes you bring in there. Often is to bring a bit of balance into this thing. Ultimately, if I don't succeed, what have I learned? And will I be worse off than when I walked in? I learned to have conversations with new people I haven't met before. I've had interesting conversations. I've learned something about myself and other people. But ultimately, I'm never any worse off when I walk out of that building, because I can choose to take away what I've learned and go, oh, that went well. That didn't go quite as well as expected. And what's next? Dealing with stress and anxiety, I think we've just touched the iceberg, but hopefully there's something here that's been really helpful. And today is all about learning. I mean, I'm someone who's learned where my social battery lasts, my energy for these talks. The last 20, 30 minutes is where my battery really sits, and I'm a passion for it. You're never going to find me doing a 2-hour talk in front of 500 people, because that's really not inside my comfort zone. Yeah, I know what I can do. So what have you learned today? What have you learned about preparing for interviews? What have you learned about strategies for thinking through questions? How are you going to prepare questions? Are you going to be writing them down and drafting answers? Are you practicing saying them out loud? Bold enough, important. What will you be doing differently? Will you be preparing? Will you be focusing on the reasons to be nervous and anxious, or you can be focused on the reasons to feel successful, relaxed, confident, and happy? I trust really you got something out today. It'd be really great to get any feedback and comments. Always happy to hear from everybody. But thanks for taking some time out of your day to listen to me today. You can either contact me on social media, or email me at brian@brianpauljohnson.com. If you want to book some time in my diary to have a proper conversation and talk about really the transformation we can have working together on you nailing that next interview, use the QR code to book some time in my diary. And that, I will leave you to get back to your busy days, and I'm going to get some fresh air and recharge my batteries. Take care.